Welcome back. It's season 2 of the Cronulla Jazz and Blues Festival podcast. This is the very first episode, season 2. You know why? Because we're going back. We're going back to the Shire last weekend of May, and we're going to celebrate the amazing jazz and blues scene, not just in the Shire, but from all around Australia. So our very first guest today, guys, we've got an incredible line of artists, stories, sounds leading up to the Youth Festival. We thought, why not start with the man who many call our very own Frank Sinatra, Mel Torme, Frank Bennett, you name it. He's the man himself. He's got the velvet voice, and he's going to bring it to the Brass Monkey on the 31st of May. Please welcome Gregg Arthur. Greg, thanks for your time this afternoon, and welcome to the show.
Great to see you, Adam. Thanks for having me on.
Mate, I want to go back to the beginning. I always get fascinated with musicians. I'd love to do what you guys do, be on stage, but, I just don't have the tones for it. But where did Greg and music first meet?
Oh, I actually don't remember. I was very young. My grandmother played piano, and my father was always singing. I think I just started singing. I was always in choirs at school, and yeah, I don't know. I have no first memory of wanting to be a singer. I just always have been.
Okay. I mean, was it always jazz, or were there other genres growing up, or did jazz and the classics just draw you in straight away?
I've always loved jazz. There was a reel-to-reel tape deck that my father had, and it had about 6 hours of Sarah Vaughan, Miles Davis, a lot of Chet Baker and Nat King Cole, real smooth stuff, and I just soaked all of that in when I was a kid, and it turned out that my grandmother, interestingly enough, had all these albums of sheet music, but they were the original pieces of music from the 20s and 30s, like Jerome Kern and Gershwin and Cole Porter, and they were from musicals, right. Broadway musicals. But they were the tunes that Sarah Vaughan and Nat Cole were singing, and Sinatra. And so I was able to compare these wonderful jazz musicians like Stan Getz, for instance, playing a tune on an album and then reading what was originally written by Cole Porter. And something in my brain found that fun, to see how they manipulated it and what they did to it to express themselves. And I thought that was very cool, because none of those artists sang the same song the same way. And yet they were all singing the same tunes. It was the jazz standards. So I just love that expression that you can put into this music. I missed the Saturday dancing. I heard they crowded the floor. It's awfully different without you. Don't get around much anymore. Thought I'd visit the club.
I always remember the expression for me went beyond the music as well. It was the cover. Those covers back then, they were those beautiful paintings, some of those Sarah Vaughan covers, or Porgy and Bess and so on. These beautiful, or even Sinatra had these beautiful paintings, and I think that's something which probably as we progressed to CDs and now streaming, we lost in being able to share that artwork, didn't we?
Yeah. Blue Note especially had the most magnificent covers, really strange photographs that they've manipulated and then put bold writing all over it. I loved them. But even Joni Mitchell in the 80s was still, when everybody else was doing beautiful studio photography on their album covers, she did self-portraits. And they were great, oil paintings of herself. I did that on one of my albums, the Ballad Collection, for an LP, because on vinyl you've got that beautiful canvas to work with. So I did a self-portrait during all the horrible lockdowns. I had all this time in my hands, as everybody did. I set up a mirror so that I could see myself, and I just did this painting, and it ended up being the album cover. It was a lot of fun.
When you paint and do something besides your music, something creative like painting or drawing, whatever it might be, other artists, do you find yourself in that inspires you for your music, or is it a separate outlet altogether?
No, it's all the same. It's absolutely all the same. There's three things that I love to do: painting, cooking, and singing. Singing most of all, but my cooking is I call it jazz cooking. What do we got here? Let's see what happens. Sometimes it's horrible, but other times I come up with some really interesting things, and then I've got to write it down because then it's a recipe. And painting is the same. It's melding all of these colors together and coming up with almost musical themes, but using the colors. It's hard to explain. I was privileged to be friends with the great Australian conductor, Maestro Tommy Tico, and synesthesia, I think it's called. I might have that wrong, but he would sit at the piano and he would be composing an orchestration for me, and he'd say, on the piano, he'd say, "This is what the cellos will be playing, and it's very dark blues." And then the violas will come in with some lighter grays, and then finally the violins, when they come in, they're bright sunshine, very yellow and gold or silver. And he would explain music like that and talk about it while he was playing all the different parts. It was an extraordinary thing. So it's painting. It's using. I mean, if a song is depressing and sad, then lots of blues and greys and charcoals, and that's the way he sort of orchestrated things, and that's how he came to write such beautiful string arrangements. I've taken those charts with me all over the world, Adam, and people go, "Who wrote those strings? They're fantastic." Tommy Tico from Sydney, Australia.
You work with Tommy Tico, Vincent Falcone. Do those collaborations, I'm getting, Greg, they still influence you to this day, from the first time right up to present. Does that sound about right? Their influence is never ending?
Never ending and always evolving, actually. I'm still learning so much. I'm writing songs for a new album that's going to be all original. And Craig Scott, the bass player, brilliant bass player, he was chair of jazz studies at the Sydney Conservatorium for, 16 years or something. And he's an incredible guy and a brilliant musician. And his knowledge of music is terrifying. And he he looked at this piece of music that I've written and said, "This is wonderful. I think in the middle section here we could change those chords to this." And he suddenly reminded me of what Vinnie Falcone used to do when he was playing piano. And he sort of went, instead of just an A minor 7 here, let's do an A7 but with a sharp 5 and all of that sort of thing. And it was very interesting where he took it. And Vinnie used to do that on the spot and just revoice things and reharmonize things. Very, very great guy to work with. He had great stories too, because he used to sit on a piano stool with Sinatra and talk about how they were going to do the song. And that's one degree of separation from Frank. I'm very, very proud of that.
We mentioned Sinatra, obviously. Sinatra, these classics. Sinatra, Tony Bennett, Mel Torme. How do you, as a person in that pocket yourself, how do you manage? I mean, you pay beautiful homage to these artists that came before you and paved the way before you, but you also balance out, I think, very well your own unique sound, your own unique tones for us. Is that something? How do you do that?
It's a lot of work and contemplation, and also recording yourself even when I'm practicing and just listening back. Mr. Bennett was lovely. He said, if I heard one of your songs on the radio and they hadn't announced who it was, I'd know it was you. And that's one of the biggest compliments I've ever had, because if you're singing I've Got You Under My Skin or something that so many people have done, and you sound like Michael Bublé or Sinatra or Tony Bennett or something, then what's the point?
Mm.
They've already done it.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I was working with an artist once, and he said, if you can't add anything to it, don't do it.
Don't do it.
You know, because you become tribute act otherwise. You become Branson, Missouri or Vegas, you know, but the Fremont
and you'll
rather
make more
than...
money. You'll make more money. The tribute acts get a lot more work.
But I think that having your own unique sound and your own individuality in both when you pay homage to these artists as well as in your own music, that I think to me, as someone who admires music and admires musicians, when you put your head down on the pillow, you know, I would imagine that's a little bit more, yes, we'd love to have the money, but the satisfaction you must get from that creativity in your art must be really rewarding.
It is, yes. And there are some albums that I've done because of the people that I'm working with. I'm incredibly proud of them because we've all gone somewhere that we hadn't even discussed, and it's captured. I did a concert last year at City Recital Hall, and 5 dear friends were on stage with me, and we went places in the concert. We didn't discuss the tunes very much. We had a rough idea of what we wanted to do, but we let the concert go in the direction that it was going to go with the audience and what they were responding to. And it came out as it was filmed. So that's good, filmed and recorded. And I'm very proud of that because it's in no way an homage to anybody. It's just us singing great standards and having a lot of fun. So yeah, it's if you've gone out and somebody says, "Hey, you sound exactly like Tom Jones," you're doing something wrong, I think.
Especially if you're trying to sound like Rod Stewart instead.
Yes.
Greg,
I love Tom Jones, by the way. I'm not knocking. Yeah. I'm just saying, you know, he's doing it. So
I was talking to some students the other day, and I had to explain the concept of how, you know, Tom Jones and even our own John Farnham used to have the ladies in the audience throw their knickers at them.
Oh, God, yes.
How that wouldn't happen anymore, and Farnham used to always pull up even Tom did it, they used to always pull up the granny knickers and say, "Oh, my mother-in-law's here tonight." So that's all those standard one-liners, you know, bang, bang, bang. So they're good. So.
Out of the tree of life, I just picked me a plum. You came along and everything's starting to hum. Still, it's a real bet. Best is yet to come.
We're talking about international talents here. I mean, you performed in the US, you performed in the UK. How is the Australian jazz scene comparing now to those overseas markets? And does it make it even more special for you when you do get to perform overseas and then come home?
Last part first, yes. That's very exciting to come back because people have heard that you've been somewhere and they want to hear what you're doing now. And I think that's because audiences who love this music know that it evolves when you're working in other cultures with other musicians. So they really do love when you've come back from somewhere and they want to go, "Oh, cool, what's he doing now? You know, what's different?" I think Australia's, particularly in the last couple of years, is really picking up. There's more clubs. Especially in Melbourne. My God, there's so many great jazz clubs down there. The fact that Brass Monkey's having me there at 2:00 on a Saturday that's great. I mean, that wasn't happening a few years ago, certainly before COVID. And what a lineup they've got too, because I'm on that Saturday and then Vince Jones is in the same club the next night, Brass Monkey. I mean, the legendary Vince Jones. and all the people that are on at the festival out in the fantastic, and there's younger people coming, which I really like.
Yeah.
I was experiencing that in Singapore. The last 2 times I've done shows over there, I do 3 nights in a row, and at a club there called Cool Cats, and there's also the Victoria Hall, which is like the equivalent of City Recital Hall, and I did a concert there, and I loved that there was so many people under 30, and now that's starting to trickle through here. My last show in Sydney, there were 6 people there, 6 young ladies, and one of them was celebrating her 21st birthday. And
Fantastic.
They came to a jazz club.
Yeah.
Dear me.
Yeah. Even better.
Yes.
Even better.
Yeah.
But we need that, don't we? We need that multi-generational, that transfer of music and so on. And I think that's come out, I don't know what you've experienced overseas, but I was reading like in Canada and the US, for instance, post-COVID, they're not country festivals or jazz festivals or blues festivals, they're music festivals.
Yes.
With all the different genres. And I think that's what we're slowly getting to here with festivals like the Cronulla Jazz and Blues Festival.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's all, it's music, and it's good music. I think the other thing that I'm finding is people, let's say under 40, are a little jaded with heavily produced music.
Yes.
And now that AI is actually creating songs by Usher and people like that, and you go, and he never even recorded it or wrote it, to go and listen to 5 people on stage, like Warwick Adler and Warwick, the brilliant trumpet player, they're standing in front of a human being creating something in the moment. And they know that this is live and now, and if it's going to mess up, they're going to witness it. And if it's going to be a brilliant experience, they're going to witness it. And it's kind of exciting because it's not predictably perfect. It's in the moment. We love it. Peter Locke on piano, especially. We love it when somebody goes, I'd love to hear you play blah, blah. And we just do it. They get a thrill out of that because it's not planned. It's just us creating something in the moment. So I think that's a big thing too with live music.
Because that's what jazz is. I mean, jazz is the art of interpretation most of the time, isn't it? And you have to be able to do that. And I think that lends itself. I was reading the other day, someone said that the AI is a bit like Lego. You've got the baby Lego, which has got 4 pieces to it, and you can put it together in 10 seconds. But real music's like those 50,000-piece Lego sets where you've got to put it together and you've got to build. And, I saw the other day there's an AI cover of Sinatra doing Bohemian Rhapsody. And it's fun to hear but it's such a long song anyway. It's fun to hear for about a minute or two. Oh, that's interesting. But you'd never listen to it again. It's not like, say, the original by Queen or another Sinatra original classic that you're going to play over and over and over again. Because I think the heart is not there, the soul's not there, the emotion's not there. The song, so much of Sinatra was sung by him in that pocket. That's why he wore a suit to the studio and things like that, because that's who he was, the presentation, And I remember you said Mr. Bennett before. I had the fortune of once meeting Mr. Tony Bennett. And to this day, I used to work in music retail, so we met a lot of people. To this day, one of my top 3 gentlemen, pure gentleman, and shook your hand like he really meant it and was invested in the discussion and what do you do here and so on. And it was not like, hi, how you going? Quick, take a photo. He was really invested, similar to that of Neil Diamond. Really nice and so on. Gave us all his time and was there by the record company and so on, but a really memorable person. And I was saying to my wife a few months ago, these guys have left an impact, like when you hear that they pass on and you're sad because you only met them for 20 minutes, but you felt like you got to know them or they took the time to know you. And I think that's where music and AI will always, for those of us who love music and are passionate about it and who go to festivals and gigs and stuff like that, AI can keep going because you're never going to beat it. So keep trying. But
keep trying.
When you get to festivals like this, Greg, do you get a chance to be a fan yourself and go around and see artists who are friends and colleagues as well as try and seek out some new artists?
Absolutely, yeah. I love doing that. Sometimes I have to hide behind, like at Cronulla, I'll have to hide behind a tree or something because they spot you and something rude on the microphone, or they'll say come up or something, but I just want to listen. I wander around. I like going to all the clubs and listening to the younger players that are coming up through the ranks, because I hear that my friends are their teachers. Andrew Dickerson on the drums, he's a prolific jazz teacher at the Con, and he always tells me about the young people that are really shining through, and so I go and watch them somewhere, usually in Marrickville or in Newtown or something, at this little grungy hole-in-the-wall place that's playing jazz. It's quite wonderful. Or a pub.
And there are lots of those now, aren't there? There's lots of different places we can explore. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, there's lots of them. Yeah.
I'm going to come in, as we draw to our close, I'm going to come and talk about your performance at the Brass Monkey, and I'm going to ask you the dreaded favourite child question. Okay? What's the one song in your repertoire that hits differently for you every time that you perform? Do you have one?
Yeah. Jules Stein wrote, I fall in love too easily. And everybody's recorded it, but it's never been like Ella Fitzgerald and Sarah Vaughan and Carmen McRae, Sinatra. They've all done it at some point, but it's never been like Night and Day or Route 66, where it's just synonymous with anybody in particular. But Chet Baker did a recording of it that kills me. And then Peter Locke on piano, he changes it sometimes harmonically. And depending on what our day's been like, it's one of those songs that I can always put something into it. It can either be slightly humorous, like I'm an idiot, I fall in love too easily, or it can be completely heartbreaking, talking about a situation where I wish that hadn't happened, but it has. And I think then when those moments happen, people in the audience go, oh, I know it. I know what this is. And they fall right into it and love it. And that's what's supposed to happen.
And I think that's, again, coming back to that true magic of music. I've got certain songs where a note, depending on the type of day you're having, a certain note, a certain key change, there's one piece of music I like, and it's the cello's kicking in, and I can hear, it's got the New York Philharmonic behind it. I can hear them changing the sheet to the next page and so on. Just the cello's just drawing through this so softly, and it's almost like you feel it pulling your heart out, and it's like, I can't find that in electronic music. I can't find it anywhere else. And so I'm sure there are other feelings and other emotions, but it's almost like you can feel your actual organs connected to this string instrument. It's heartbreaking. So, look, final question.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. Final question. I always ask the same question. Singapore, Sydney, New York, London, wherever it is, what's it feel like to be Gregg Arthur on stage?
I have no idea, because I'm so focused on the song. I go out there. If I thought like that, Adam, I think I'd get nervous.
Yes.
And I never do. I go out there and I'm thinking of what mood am I going to put into this, and what are the audience responding to, because I might do something else like that. And so I don't have an answer for that question.
Okay. Well, the way we can all find that answer is we're all going to have to get on down and tell Gregg what it feels like to be in the audience when he comes down to the Cronulla Jazz and Blues Festival. He's going to be at the Brass Monkey on May 31st. Gregg, it's been such a pleasure having us on the podcast, episode 1 of our second season. Mate, your voice, whether it's here in Australia or overseas, around the world, it continues to elevate jazz traditional, both here and in Australia and beyond. And we can't wait to hear you and see you live at the festival. Thank you so much for your time. Episode 1 in the can. We'll see you in Cronulla.
Thanks, Adam.